Good afternoon, everyone. Honorable Principal Dr. B.T. Jadhav, sir, Coordinator of the Department of Food Processing and Packaging, Dr. S.S. Wadikar, ma'am, our today's resource person, Miss Rashmi Kelkar, ma'am, my colleagues, and all dear students. I welcome you all for the guest lecture on formulation of new food product. New food product is the driving force of many companies as well as institutes and a vital for the organic growth. New food products give us an advantage over the competition, and they also focus on taking a competitive leadership position. Food product development is also a series of processes, uh, whether it may be a business or a home-based company or anything. So today we have one such key speaker with us. So I request Ms. Savan ma'am to please introduce our today's resource person in brief. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. So the product development is the lifeblood of any food industry and institute also. From the refining and established product range to developing a completely new product. In the product development, there are several steps are involved, from which formulation of new product is an essential step. So to enrich us in this topic, we have our today's resource person, Ms. Rashmi Kelkar, ma'am, founder of Food Patron Services. Ma'am have completed Bachelor's in Food Science and Quality Control from SNDT University, Pune, Master's in the Food Processing and Nutrition from the same university. She is also a postgraduate in Food Safety and Quality Management. Ma'am started her career as a Quality Assurance Officer at PKM Food Private Limited. She worked as food freelancer. She is having as a working experience as Deputy Manager in R&D at Achi Masala Food Private Limited. She have started her own proprietorship and she is founder of Food Patron Services. From last 6 years, she is doing consultancy for food and beverage manufacturing industries. I request ma'am to guide our students. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for this warm welcome. I would like to say something about my company, Food Patron Services. We at Food Patron Services, we give new startup project, food startup project services from product development, that is from concept development to formulation handover. And then we'll also help them for line setup, FSMS development, packaging and labeling design, and other details development, shelf life study analysis, we guide them for nutritional labeling. And so these are various services we provide at Food Patron Services. Considering my last 6 years experience, I'm gonna share my experience about food formulation. I hope it will be helpful for you all. So I would like to share my screen for the presentation.
Yes, ma'am, you'll be able to share the screen. You're the co-host.
So basically there are two parts, like formulated food and non-formulated food. Like everyone is clearly knowing, like our home food is a non-formulated food, and that is the beauty of our home food cooking. So every time you can't taste or texture of the product is same. So because it is not well formulated food, though we use some standard masala, standard products repeatedly in our cooking, but there is not fixed formulation and fixed SOP for our home cooking. So our home cooking tastes different every time. Also some hawkers product or chat served or sandwiches served outside the road, that is not also formulated food. So it is also tasting different every time. Some restaurants like 2-star and below restaurants, they don't have proper SOP at place, or proper formulation of their products. So these dishes also taste different every time. But when we comes to packed food, packaged food, as a consumer, we expect that food product should be tasting exactly every time, and it should weigh exactly, it should give that taste, texture, crunch, color same every time. So for that reason, we have to have formulation at place. And when we say formulation, it is not just a percent recipe. It comes with percent recipe followed by SOP, that is standard operating procedure. If you have percent recipe in place and not the formulation, then also it is it is not fixed to achieve the targeted results. So when you have a percent formulation and SOP at place, and if you are following it very thoroughly, then your product will taste exactly same every time, and that's what is expected from packed food. Apart from tasting same exactly every time, there are many advantages of this formulation. So we'll take one by one requirements of this formulation. So hello, excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, there is, I guess. Okay, fine. Sorry. So why food formulation is important? There are one consumer concern, which I have already discussed, that is unique sensory property. Apart from that, there are many manufacturers concern. So manufacturer concerns are safety and shelf life, unique physico-chemical and microbiological properties of food. Then costing. When I say costing, it is absolute costing, that is raw material costing of your preparation. Then convenience, secrecy of recipe, inventory management, and line extension, which ultimately leads to business expansions. So we'll say one by one. So first point, which I have already discussed, that is unique sensory properties from a consumer concern. So when you have a fixed formulation at place, every time you definitely get a taste, texture, color, appearance similar, and that is a beauty of formulated food. So from many decades, some products are there in market with exact taste. You must be knowing Chitare Bakar Badi. They may have developed, they may have changed their processing line, they may have upgraded their ingredients in grade grade or quality point of view, but their percent formulation is always fixed. So that product is tasting exactly similar from many decades. Same with Cadbury chocolate or Parle-G. So having percent formulation at place is very much important to give or to serve a product which has a unique sensory property. So now we'll see manufacturer's concern, safety and shelf life. This is actually not a manufacturer concern, but it is a legal requirement. Because FSSAI has given us a certain limits for all preservatives and additives to maintain the safety of food, packed food. So to achieve that exact level, or to achieve that exact percentage, we have to have percent formulation in our hand, so that we'll be assured, like every time we are putting same percentage of additive or preservative in our product. So to maintain GMP also, percent ingredients are very much important. Plus from manufacturing point of view, when you are declaring shelf life of the product on package, if you are developing some product, sending that product for a laboratory for shelf life analysis, and analysis result says product stays for 4 months, and you have declared that thing on your label, and then if you are not adhering to your percent formulation or SOP, then it may result different shelf life, or it may result into different product. So to have that percent formulation and following SOP is very much important. Then comes unique physico-chemical and microbial property of product. When you are developing any product, you have to develop its RM specs, that is raw material specifications, finished goods specification, intermediate product specification. You have to have in place physico-chemical characteristic of that finished good, that is moisture content of that product, fat content of that product, ash content of that product. Obviously it is applicable to category of the product, which product you are developing, but you have to find out certain key physico-chemical and microbial parameters which will ultimately assure you for your product quality. And to adhere to this physico-chemical and microbial quality, you have to follow your percent formulation. Also, when you follow percent formulation, quality of your product is same, that is one thing. But yield, whatever yield you are getting, because in certain process there is a evaporation, heating process, losses are there. So if you follow exact SOP, then your yields are confirmed, and when yields are confirmed, that is proportional to your cost, internal costing. So it assure your yield and costing, shelf life of the product, and of course sensory property. Say for example, if you take example of cookies and you are adding some 20% of fat, so every time, if I'm saying 20 right now, and in your formulation it is 20.5, and you are not adhering, and by mistakenly you are following just 20 and not that 0.5, it is going to affect your quality of the product from sensory point of view, from shelf life point of view, from costing point of view. See, for example, if you are putting less, then it affects the texture of the product. If you are putting higher, then it will affect the shelf life of the product. It will affect costing of the product. So to stick with the same formulation is very much important. Then of course, very much important factor, costing. When I say costing, it is absolute costing. Why we are starting this food business is to gain a profit. So when you are targeting some profit, you have to have that calculation in your mind. When you have absolute costing, there is a thumb rule in market. Whatever MRP of the product, of 20% is absolute costing of the product. So when we as a consultant, we develop some food product, we ask our clients for some basic requirements, and in that MRP is one of the requirement. We ask them what are going to keep MRP for your decided pack size, and accordingly we back calculate our raw material costing, and from day one we keep that raw material costing in mind, and we start working on the formulation. When these formulations are fixed, we'll be able to achieve this raw material costing very well. Of course, there are up and down of raw material charges in market, but once you print MRP on your pack, unless otherwise there is a major reason, you won't be able to change that MRP. And as you won't be able to change that MRP, you have to keep your RM costing fixed to have that decided profit margin. So if you have that formulation in place, then only you will be able to achieve this profit margin. And so formulation is very much important. Then convenience, of course, if you have a formulation, percent formulation in Excel sheet, it is easy to scale up the recipe. It is very convenient to manufacture. If one R&D person leaves, or if you are handing over duties to somebody else to understand, it is very much important in percent formulation. And so it also give assurance of quality and yield. So percent formulation and SOP, having this document having at place, like it is a must thing for any food processor, and it gives convenience to manufacturer. Next is secrecy of recipe. This is very much important. When consultant like us are there in market and we are developing your product and we are handing over product, you can't simply take that product and start processing in your factory. You have to decode your formula, our given formulation into your factory documentation process. Like you can code your RM and then maintain secrecy of ingredient, or you can code your finished good and by that maintain your secrecy. Or next important factor is when you are giving this product for outside manufacturing, like that is called private labeling or third party manufacturing. You can't simply give your formulation and SOP to your third party manufacturer and ask them to prepare product, pack in our labels and give us back. Then next day you will be having same product copied and as a competitor in market. So to maintain third party manufacturing process, you have to have maintain the secrecy, and the part of the formulation you have to take out, and you have to do that batching or processing at your unit or your premises and send that product to that third party manufacturing. And you can ask like the biggest example is Coca-Cola. Their basic flavor formulation is centrally prepared at R&D unit, and all over world they have many manufacturing units. They are sending that flavor composite from there, and at every unit, at every manufacturing site, they are only mixing sugar syrup, carbon dioxide, and that flavoring agent. But mixing at what ratio it is fixed, so they are able to maintain that basic quality and proper sensory properties, and so that product is very much successful in market. So next is inventory management and line extension. If you have percent formulation in your hand, and if you are maintaining system like FIFO and FEFO, then it is very easy to maintain raw material, to order raw material from your suppliers, to coordinate with your suppliers, and all these processes will save your time and will be helpful for your business expansion. Next important thing is line extension. When you have like there are 6 or 7 flavors of Lay's in market, how they have developed this product? They would have developed only 2 products in the beginning with basic Indian masala or tomato. And then later, when introducing other flavors, they have not done all this R&D process altogether. They have their fixed formulation SOP in hand. They have just replaced their seasoning component. Maybe they have taken few R&D trials for percentage of seasoning as per the flavor requirement, but there would not be a major R&D development if you have a basic product in terms of formulation and SOP in your hand. Then it is very easy to develop to expand your line, and that will help your business expansion. So now we will see what is the process, like how we formulate food products in any R&D unit, or how we develop food product for any of our client. So you all must be knowing that long process of R&D, from starting from idea, then concept generation, then market review, market analysis, and so forth and so on. So once you do that process thoroughly, and you conclude that this is the product I'm going to prepare, and when you start doing your formulation, you should revisit this process of idea to concept, and you should ask these questions to your idea to get a proper concept. If your concept is thorough, if you are 100% sure with your concept, you can develop a 100% good formulated product which is marketable and very qualitative. So we'll take one example. We can take an example of Nutri bar. It is very much in trend right now. And so for your idea of developing Nutri bar, you should ask this question like what is my plan? What Nutri bar I'm planning? So if your answer is you want to develop a handmade nut and seed bar, okay, fine. It is for healthy snacking, okay. And MRP rupees 70 for 50 grams. This figure will come from your market analysis. So before doing this formulation of product, you should thoroughly do your R&D process and then start formulating your product. Then next question is who is my target customer for this Nutri bar? So suppose I'm targeting age group of 18 to 40, and I'm also adding terms like nutrients, like I want to develop a vegan product, I want to develop gluten free, I want to develop sugar free. Then all these terms you have to put into your concept, and you have to think, or you have to take these things in mind while formulating or while selecting your ingredients. So for example, if I'm in this example, if I am planning this product for 18 to 40 years age group, then this information will help me in developing my nutritional panel. So I have to consider RDA for this 18 to 40. Obviously, it is not same, but for labeling purpose, we can take figures from NIN and we can start working on it. Then if I'm saying healthy, what is my exact requirement? I want protein rich, I want calcium rich, I want iron rich, or all of this. That you have to be very thorough with, and you have to keep this point in mind. Then question is why. So why I'm developing this product? I want to provide a healthy snacking option in market, evening snack option in market. So I'm developing this product. Fine, because this information will give you the portion size. This will decide if I have to pack it into 25 gram, 50 gram, or 40 gram, or as per current trend in market, I have to check my competitors, I have to check international, national products, and then decide the pack size, and accordingly I have to think about nutrition. Then when question will give you a manufacturing cycle requirement, like initially I want to develop 100 bars per day weighing 50 grams. Okay, fine. This information will help you to uh, to develop your facility. That is next question. Where am I going to develop this product? If you are going to do for only 100 bars of 50 gram, then you can develop a small facility. You can visit any any manufacturing who is in same business and can take their help and go for private labeling. So this question will help you to sort this manufacturing facility problem. And once you decide you are going to do contract manufacturing or you are developing your own small facility, you have to think of your FSMS plan. Food safety is primely important, because when you achieve food safety, you ultimately achieve food quality. So achieving food safety is very much important. Once you know the facility, probably you have to think about equipment and equipment placing and everything. Who question will give you, it is a handmade, but it can't be 100% handmade. I have to have some equipment or some machinery at place to, as I'm targeting some commercial product. It is not a homemade product, it's a commercial product. I'm targeting to take it to scale. So from day one, I have to think about my equipments and my process line, or it will be fully automated process. That have to be very sure and have to absolutely clear about this facts. And then how will give you the answer for what will be your standard operating procedure, which processing technology, packaging technology you are choosing, what marketing channels you are choosing. So this 7 question will help you to develop complete concept or complete plan of your product, and then you should actually start developing your product. With last 5-6 years of my own consulting firm experience, and before that also I was working in R&D, I have developed this kind of process flow for my organization. So what we do, we first do raw material identification, selection, and specifications. So in that, I choose my all raw material. I specify, I develop a specification for each and every raw material. If we take same example of Nutri bar, if I have decided to do a Nutri bar with nuts and seeds, and definitely some sweetening agent will be there, but I'm saying sugar free. So what else I can use? I can add maple syrup, I can add honey, I can add organic liquid jaggery, that is kakvi, I can add dates. So there are so many options, or so many ingredients I can replace with the sugar. This you will be able to achieve only if you have a passion to play with ingredients. If you see any ingredient, this question, if you are if this question are troubling you, like what is a characteristic of this particular ingredient, what is the texture of this ingredient, which processing method I can give to this ingredient, can I roast this ingredient after frying, what will be the effect of frying in of this ingredient. So if you are very interested or passionate about the ingredients, you have that habit to play with ingredient, or you have continuous process going on in mind, like which ingredient will go well with which ingredients I can combine for mutual supplementation or good nutritional combination. So I think to like one of the good quality of food product development person is to know ingredient thoroughly, or to know different ingredient, or to explore different ingredient by different ways. So that is a different altogether different topic of discussion. But here when I am developing a nutri bar, I will think some ingredients. If for example I have targeted some 11-12 ingredients, for each and every ingredient I have to think of quality and grade. I'm sure you all must be knowing the what is the difference between quality and grade, but just for a quick recap, I'll explain. If you are choosing cashew as one of your ingredient, then there are different grades of cashew available in market, like 380, 420, 410, 210. Like these are commercially available cashew grades. Pakdi is there, Tukda is there. So if I'm adding this product into my Nutri bar and ultimately I'm going to cut this cashew, why should I go for grade 1? I can go for Pakdi, or I can go for Tukda cashew. And here comes quality. In that grade, I can go for a great quality, like first quality. So there is that is the difference between a grade and quality. So if I'm choosing every ingredient and doing this exercise for each and every ingredient, because when we are developing some commercial product, the very important factor is economy. We have to think of raw material expenses. We have to think of raw material charges. So unnecessary, if I'm adding a grade 1 cashew and then applying in SOP, there will be a one step of cutting of this cashew, means I'm applying energy, I'm putting some money, so it is of no use. So from that point of view, you have to think always when you are formulating your product. So ultimately I have to cut the my nuts, then why can't I go for best quality cut or chopped nuts? So I can select that ingredient. So accordingly you have to do your raw material specification and selection and exercise for all your raw material. Then again, of course, you have to visit your concept to actually develop your product. So third step is lab formulation preparation. Here actually you put your ingredients on pallet. I don't know, this process, this is very organic process. Like as an experienced food professional, I can very well judge like which will be the first ingredient, like how much percent nut can I put, how much percent of seed I can put. But as a fresher also, one can evaluate by putting different weight of ingredient and combining it, and what is tasting good. That will take some time, but obviously that is a R&D work we are doing. So we have to put different ingredient at different percentages, like whatever 11 ingredients we have shortlisted in different percentages. While doing so, I have to take care of my nutrition and costing. So when I'm preparing my Excel sheet for percent formulation, there is always two columns. One is a costing column and one is a nutritional analysis, nutritional profile of that product. So suppose, for example, I'm taking this 11 ingredients. For that all 11 ingredients, I should know the kg cost for all these ingredients, so that it will give me a product cost ultimately. Plus, I should take values from NIN. NIN is a like NIN is a base nutrition book for us as Indian food developers. So we take generally values from NIN for each ingredient, like your basic calorie values, carbohydrate value. If we are targeting protein, then protein, fat, basically these four are must we have to do for each and every ingredient raw finished good. But additionally, if you are targeting iron, additionally if you are targeting calcium, you have to take values of that ingredient from NIN book and keep a record. And when you have your percent formulation in place, say for example in NutriBar, if I'm putting 4% of cashew, then ultimately my Excel sheet will give you a picture like in 4 grams of cashew nut, how much protein I'm getting, how much calories I'm getting, how much iron it is giving. And when you compile every ingredient's nutrition profile, you ultimately will end up getting nutrition profile of your complete finished good. Of course, there are losses, there are processing losses in the nutrients, but that we can't, we are not able to consider because of limitations. For that, end product we send to laboratory to cross check the nutrition profile, but this exercise will give you vague idea. At least if this picture is giving you a protein percentage of 9 gram, then you are very much sure, like you can't claim your product as high protein product. So for that, which ingredient I have to increase, which ingredient I have to decrease, that I will think of, and then that steps I will take care. But when, if you don't have this nutritional profile table in hand, you can't just guess like this product will give me 10 grams of protein. That ultimate, if you send that product to laboratory and if you get only 5 grams of protein, 8 grams of protein, it is of no use. Then whole process you have to repeat. But as per my experience, when we do this theoretical product nutritional calculation, 20% here and there, like 20% we get deviation, but ultimately we achieve whatever we are targeting for nutritional claims. So once this formulation at place, we have to prepare those products and we have to do sensory evaluation. And before preparing product for sensory, we have to think of process technology and method of processing, because it is very much important. I'm preparing a Nutri bar. Am I going to bake this product, or am I simply going to mix the ingredient and set by adding jaggery, molten jaggery? How I'm going to do this product? So process also we have to take care of. Process, different process trials we have to take with our percent formulation, and then ultimately we get 2, 3, or 4, 5, whatever as per your experience, your knowledge, your capacity of exploring things. You can give product different set of products, and of course timeline, in what timeline you have to develop this product, that also matters a lot. So you can develop ultimately 2, 3 products, and you can do a sensory evaluation. And for that sensory evaluation, because ultimately we are preparing this product for consumers which are very much interested only of its sensory properties. All other things are consumer, I mean manufacturer's concern. Consumer, as a consumer concern is only taste of the product, texture of the product, and shelf life of the product. So we have to ultimately do a sensory evaluation. After this sensory evaluation, we have to choose formulations from that and develop SOP for that decided formulation. And then you can send that product to lab for nutrition, chemical, microbial analysis, and to have this thing for FG specification at place. Then you can think of packaging technology, packaging material, for startups, for middle and small manufacturers where fund is a really concern. There are no much scope for packaging development or packaging thing like packaging technology. I'm not saying packaging technology, there are huge market for packaging, but for those who have a funds availability, those with this basic concept or basic funds, they can only choose, there are fixed 2, 3 materials. Like if you have what is your water activity, what is air activity, then fat content and moisture content. These 4 factors affect to choose your packaging material and packaging technology. So depending on, it is very clear or like a thumb rule in our industry to choose packaging material and give that packaging material. Then comes labeling. there are continuous amendments in FSSAI for labeling, considering consumer safety or consumer point of view. So we have to check our label with recent or recently amended regulations, and accordingly you have to label your product. Once labeling work is done and you get your lab results, then you have to revisit your sensory quality and nutritional property of your product, because as I said, theoretically you are getting some protein values, and lab reports you get something. Then ultimately if you want to achieve 10 grams protein per bar, you have to little work on it, or you have to little addition of protein rich ingredients, or sometimes there is absolutely no need of changing any ingredient, any process, and we can go simply with that formulation and SOP. Then we take a pilot batches, and this pilot batches we have to make minimum 10 to 15 changes in our formulation, because when you scale up your formulation, there are major changes. Like water is a very versatile ingredient. Like when if you are adding 100 grams of water in a small batch, same is not the requirement for your 100 kg batch. Salt also changes with the scale up. So these 2 3 ingredients, with experience we are able to judge these ingredients. And when person works in the industry and take this certain kind of a process or works on the process, ultimately this is not a rocket science. Everyone will get a judgment which ingredient we have to work on, and then we have to work on these ingredients particularly, and you have to prepare scale up formulation for your product and scale up SOP for your product. And with that, you can take your scale up batch, like the first commercial batch, which is ready for market, and which you can claim it is 100% as per given concept. So this is our regular working process of new product development that I have shared with you. So that was my experience. If you have any doubt in this process, or you want to ask anything, it's open to it.
If participants are having any queries, any questions, you can post it in the chat box, or you can just raise your hands and ask the questions.
There's one question: how to make some products or process novel to that anyone can't copy easily in NutriBar. So it is totally a personal choice or personal experience, or for that only people hire us. So it is totally dependent on your imagination or your creativity, and you can choose, because there are n number of processes we can apply to this. If we stick specific to NutriBar, with different processes you can develop this NutriBar. So which is suitable for your concept, you have to choose, and ultimately it is gonna be in market, which market, that market's requirement you have to take in mind and develop your product. So I hope this answer is satisfactory to the person who has asked this question.
Anyone else is having any questions?
Ma'am, may I ask a question?
Yeah, please, you can ask the question.
Ma'am, our students are working on one project in which they are developing a meat product, meat-based product, and they are converting their product in the frozen form. So, is it necessary to cook their product before packaging or formulating that product?
What is the ultimate category of your product? It's ready to cook or ready to
Yeah. It's ready to cook. Ready to cook.
Again, in that, what final product treatment you are suggesting at consumer end, that we have to take into consideration, plus which wheat form you are using. You are using wheat flour, you are using maida, you are using suji. That
Ma'am, meat product, chicken meat.
Oh, okay,
Yes,
sorry,
poultry. Yeah.
meat. But what ultimate product is? They are going to fry this, or
Yes.
they are going
They
to
are
cook?
going to they are going to fry that product.
No, they
So, is
have
it
to give
necessary to
some
cook?
heat treatment, because meat, if you say meat, there are various varieties. If say chicken or mutton, for both different cooking time and cooking temperature is required. So I don't know, ultimately in your frying it is gonna achieve, then it is fine. Otherwise you have to give some basic pre-treatment, or it is necessary, I guess, to give some basic pre-treatment to your meat.
Okay.
It will
Thank
also
you, ma'am.
achieve the shelf life of the product.
Yes. Ma'am. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome. I can't understand this second question. Which processes are you talking about?
Ma'am, our students are working on a project.
Okay.
So they are formulating a product, which is a chicken meat, and they are converting their product into the frozen form as well as
No,
in the
that I have
ready to cook.
understood. There was a next question in chat box. No,
Okay.
now that is, there is update like related to bar. Okay. Can you please tell some process regarding? Yeah, I've told you, no, processes for bar. Basically, bar, what ingredients you are choosing is ultimately important. If you are choosing that nut and seed, we are eating this product raw. So there is less requirement of any processing technology. You just have to bind those ingredients with some binder, which can be a sweetener also. And to use that, how to use that sweetener and how to bind those ingredients, that is the only concern of point. So you have to think on that. Otherwise, if you use raw these nuts and seeds, that is the best thing, because it will give you a perfect nutrition profile of the product. I think there are no questions.
Okay, if
Ma'am,
there are no more any
ma'am,
questions. Okay.
ma'am, one more question.
Yeah.
Our few students are working on the spice related products. Means they are in incorporating spices in the bar as well as in the chocolates. So, what should be the considerations they should consider while formulating those products?
See, sensory evaluation is the ultimate thing, as I said, because we are preparing product for to customer for sensory appeal. So sensory is the most important thing. Then spices generally they give preservative effect only. So as from quality point of view, there is no concern if you are able to incorporate as much as you can incorporate spices in your product. And there is no legal requirement as such for spices, as it is a natural product. If it is any chemical or additive, then there are limits in FSSAI. But spices, it's a organic product, so it's not like limit is not given. We can add as per our consideration and our test profile. That is it.
Participants, are there any more questions? Okay, I think there are no more questions. So I request Miss Patil ma'am to conclude the session and propose the vote of thanks.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. It gives me an immense pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks. On the behalf of Yashwantrao Chavan Institute of Science, Satara, and Department of Food Processing and Packaging, I would like to thank our guest, Ms. Kelkar ma'am, for enlightening us with their knowledge. Today's lecture was full of knowledge and interesting one. Ma'am highlighted the significance of formulation in absolute costing and maintaining secrecy of recipe. Ma'am guided well how to formulate new product. So that once again, thank you, ma'am. I'm pretty sure the precious knowledge that Kelkar ma'am gave us will definitely helpful for our student to shape their future. I would like to thank our honorable principal, Dr. B.T. Zadav sir, for giving permission to organizing this lecture. I would like to thank our departmental coordinator, Dr. S.S. Wadikar ma'am, for their support and encouragement. At the last but not least, I would like to thank all the participants for their active presence. Thank you. Thank you so much all.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, participants, I have just shared the feedback link in the chat box. You all should fill the feedback form. And with the permission of the dais, I declare that the session is over. Thank you.